Well, hello and welcome to Hey Hun, You Woke Up Victims' Voices. And I am really excited today because I have with me Amy Eure. She's also a former Beachbody coach. So it's always nice talking to somebody else who has experienced the same horror that you did in MLM. But Amy didn't stop with Beachbody. No, no, no. She then joined Prove It, which I remember when Prove It like came into the world and everybody was kind of leaving Beachbody to go there or direct sellers. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring Amy on. Hello, Amy, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
Yay. Okay, I've got a bunch of questions for you because, and we'll probably go off script, but, I try to at least come up with some generalized questions.
Yeah.
But it's always so interesting when somebody else has also been in the same MLM as you because you speak the same language and you can really, I think it's very healing. And, because to be like, okay, I'm not the only one. Yes, somebody else also had, a less than stellar experience, even if you quote unquote had success, even if that success was in your mind and it really wasn't
Mhm.
as great as you thought it was at the time and it didn't take you to where you wanted to go through MLM.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you first joined Beachbody and then you joined Prove It. So I
hmm
want to know, what did you know about multi-level marketing before you ever got involved in Beachbody?
It's kind of funny because I have I am kind of a victim of diet culture. So I've tried so many different MLM products even. So I had tried Isogenics, I tried Herbalife, not as a distributor, just as a
Oh,
customer.
wow. Okay.
And and then my husband and I kind of started talking about it. And I even tried Primerica. I
Oh
did
my
Primerica.
God.
And I think the craziest part, because I didn't even think about it, because this was when we were first married. I don't think we'd maybe been even our first year of marriage. And I had a lot of success pretty immediately with Primerica. Um, but then I think all of them, you just realize it doesn't take very long for like the shine to wear off and you start seeing underneath. And it's like, hold on. Like you said, this was so easy and everybody was going to want this. Nobody wants this. And I
Oh,
don't think I want it either. Like, wait. Yeah. And even within my family, I've had people that have done Amway. Um, so I'd had quite a bit of experience, but never to the extent that I did with Beachbody.
got you. So
Yeah.
how did you hear about Beachbody?
So it's kind of funny. I started doing Turbo Jam years like years before I ever got into Beachbody. And so
Oh,
when
wow.
when I have babies, I'm horrible. I would be up at night nursing them, and the infomercials would kill me. I would get boxes. I'm like, I don't even remember ordering this, but I probably did at 2 a.m. some night. So I had ordered the Turbo Jam DVDs, and I love that workout. It was just like my
It's a fun
soulmate
one.
workout. Yeah, have you done it?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Oh my
liked
gosh.
it.
Yeah, that was like my gateway. So I had quite a few different Beachbody programs, but I didn't know anything about the coaching part. So after my fifth baby, we were living in Washington and I was at the heaviest I'd ever been, including when I was pregnant. I normally lost weight when I was pregnant.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and then I would gain it after the baby was born because I could eat again. so, um, so I was at my heaviest weight, and I started doing the program Shalene Extreme.
Yeah. Yeah.
And before I even started coaching or even signed up with Beachbody, I had lost about 50 pounds, I want to say. Um, and I got connected with a friend from high school that was like, "Oh my gosh, I've seen a couple posts where you said you've been trying to do this. Did you know that you can get paid to work out at home?" It's like, "Really? How does that work?" And at that point I was like, I needed a little bit more structure, I thought, in my meal planning.
Uh-huh.
Um, so enter in 21-day fix. Those,
Oh,
those damn portion containers.
do you still have your
And
portion containers?
no, oh, actually, I did find one when I was cleaning out my basement and my kids' toy stuff. But and I kept like everything I'd order, I'd get another set of containers, and I'm like, I don't need any more little tiny blue containers. Like, stop it. Um, they're so triggering. Every time I find them, I'm like, oh no. Um,
I
but I started.
I still have mine and I use them because if I have like a little bit of sauce left over or something, I
Yeah.
use them all the time. I guess I keep them for to remind myself. It's just, it's a reminder. It triggers me, but it's still
Yeah.
just a reminder because I'm now looking, I'm like, you're just a container. But I also think, wow, this was really jacked up. So
Oh,
it's just always that
absolutely.
reminder. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So I
And I
can't
mean,
believe you found them in your kids' play stuff. That's funny.
because they're perfect little containers for them to put like little beads in or,
Oh yeah.
whatever. But, you know, I started with it and I started with Shakeology and I was feeling great. And they got me, and this is exactly what I did. Just do it for the discount. You don't have to sell it, but
Uh,
you get this great discount. And because I told them, I'm like, nobody would be inspired by me. Like, there's no way I'd be successful. Um, and she's like, oh, you're totally good. Just share on Facebook. And so I did. I shared my first post and I had like 80 comments on it of people that
really?
it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Um, and I
And these
think,
weren't other coaches. These were actual people.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And I think because I did have such an amazing story and like I think by that point I'd lost like 60 pounds. Um, people were like, holy crap, I want to do it. What are you doing? Message me. Um, and I think my coach made it seem like she was successful. She was
Uh-huh.
she was not. She had no idea what to do with me. Um, because
What
I
rank
was like,
is your coach?
uh, she she made it to diamond, um, but never even made it to 1 star because she couldn't hold qualification to save her life. So even when I became a diamond, she never hit 1 star because I don't think she was a diamond at that point. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
I quickly outperformed her. Um, and I mean, it wasn't unusual for me to hit like Success Club 40
Are
like
you
that.
kidding me?
Uh-uh. That was totally normal for me. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now first of all, let's explain to our viewers what do we mean when we say diamond? Because since we've been in Beachbody, we know what all of this stuff is. But there's people who don't know. So explain to people what it means to be a diamond coach.
Yeah. So the first rank that you get is emerald. And the vast majority of people get to emerald by buying that rank. So you're coached to put sign up your husband under you because then you can control that business and it's more revenue stream. And
I
then,
love that.
right. And then is there someone else? And so, put your mom, your mother in law, your sister, whoever. So you go to emerald pretty quickly by buying that rank. And it
Yeah.
was at that point that I realized, wait a minute, now I have to support 3 orders of Shakeology. Like I have to hit Success Club 40 to pay for this stupid product that I'm buying to get at this rank. So then the second rank, nobody ever does. It's called Ruby, and nobody's ever a Ruby that I can tell.
It's just
Um,
rare. I think I knew like two people that were Ruby.
yeah, like it's kind of a weird stepping point that most people just go from emerald to diamond. So a diamond, you have to have 2 emerald coaches, one on each leg, and that is really important. So it's a binary system.
Yeah.
So you have a strong leg and a weak leg, and you have to have an emerald on both legs, and you have to have 3 additional coaches in addition to them.
So it's a total
So,
of 12 people that basically that you're supported by.
right.
And
And the reason that it's important for that to know that binary system is because the way that Beachbody does their promotions, and which I think is completely ridiculous, you have to have an even number on both legs. So let's say that I have 5 diamonds on my right leg, but only 1 diamond on my left leg. I could be at most a 2-star diamond because they would only count 1 and 1.
that's terrible. I never realized that's terrible.
Yeah, so it's crazy because you have to guess. As soon as you recruit someone, you have to guess. Are they going to be a strong coach or a weak coach, and where is it going to be best for you? And you almost always guess wrong. And then you're just screwed.
Oh, wow.
So, and where that problem came in is when I signed up, my coach put me on her weak leg, and she was on her coach's weak leg. And I think her coach was also on a weak leg. And so since we were like the weak side, we didn't get any help from our upline.
Yeah, I was on the weak side too. I just know I was because I got no help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was no help in volume. So I was lucky because I was able to really kind of meet the numbers that I needed to support basically the stuff I was purchasing. But that was with no help from any volume from anyone else.
Now, I have another question. So you said
Yeah.
you were already doing Beachbody programs,
Mm-hmm.
and the coach person said, "Hey, you can make money from working out at home. Bada
Mm-hmm.
boom, bada bing." Who was that person? Was this someone that you actually knew in person, or was this a random person online? Who was that person to you?
Friend from high school.
Oh, how classic.
Yep, right. And we weren't even that like great friends in high school. We knew each other and we were friendly with each other, but not like a best friend or anything. Um, yeah, so that's how she friended me, and the rest is history.
Okay, well, then what were you told about the income potential when you joined?
It was like exponential, like and how easy it was. Everybody wants to do this. Everybody wants to work out at home. Everybody needs to lose weight, and it's super easy. And at that point in time, I don't think there were as many Beachbody coaches. There wasn't as much because
What year was this?
I want to say it was 2015.
Okay, that's what I
So
was guessing around then.
yeah, so I mean, it wasn't as out there. Um, and then my great, and also this is like, tell me you're in a cult. My great grandma coach, great
Yeah.
great grandma. I think she may have been my great grandma, was a top 10 coach.
Ah.
So of course, when we would do team meetings, she would pull up her income. She would pull up her back office to show us what was possible. And it
Oh,
was like,
how great to
holy,
further indoctrinate you.
right. And it's like, oh my gosh, she's making $8,000 to $10,000 a week. I can totally do that. And all you have to do is do this and this and this. But the interesting thing is that they never gave you like concrete steps.
Right.
Just believe that you can and share your story, and then talk to 100 people a day and you're good. Like, I don't have 100 people to talk to a day. Nor do I want to, and nor do I have time to.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because everybody becomes a target, and you're always in the back of your head thinking, how can I get you to buy something and join my team?
Mm-hmm. I even feel guilty now when I send a message to someone, just, hey, I was thinking about you. How are you doing? I'm like, oh my gosh, they probably are like, what is she doing? What is she selling? Like, because that's how I was.
Yeah.
And you don't go into it intending to be a predator, but you end up getting that way. And because they don't teach you specifics, you end up being like, oh, well, I'm going to purchase a training. And most of these top coaches, they've all created training programs. So now that's another stream of income that they get from their coaches, because, you know, they have these amazing trainings to teach you how to replicate what they did.
You know, all the trainings I did through, the coach that I originally started on was under the top income earner of of all of Beachbody. So you know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she left for direct sellers, I went under that person. So I didn't know that there was like you had to purchase training. It was always free to me.
Oh,
But it
wow.
wasn't like it actually told me anything of really what to do, because it's like I tried all of it. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
work.
Yeah. I mean, and it was like, well, go into a mom's group and like and comment. And I was like, ew, I don't do that. Like, that is so gross. But how else would you do it? And so the tactic when I first started was to run all of these free 7-day
Uh-huh.
clean eating challenges or crock pot challenge or whatever. And I loved running those free groups. I had so much fun with them. But when it came to like try and flip them to a paid customer, I really struggled because it felt so gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and you know, and then for me, my favorite part was the fitness. I love working out and I've always loved working out. And so I became certified in quite a few of the formats and I
I
would
became
teach.
certified too
What did you get certified in?
in size and country heat.
Okay, so I had size, country heat, which I never really taught size in a facility. I taught country heat, um, and quarter force.
Yeah.
And then my two main ones that I would teach at clubs were Turbo Kick and P90X.
Yeah. Those because usually all the other ones nobody cared about. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I tried to get into clubs and nobody gave a shit about Beachbody programs.
Well, and it almost, they kind of had a negative connotation with Beachbody. They were like, oh, you're not a real trainer. You're not a real, you know, facilitator of these programs. And so getting in was interesting. I taught, actually, the only reason I got certified in P90X was because the YMCA where I was teaching asked me to get certified in it because they
Oh, really?
wanted for it.
So you were teaching something else that wasn't Beachbody at the time. What were you teaching?
No, I was teaching Turbo Kick.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And like my classes, I would get 50 people in a class. Like, it was nuts. And I loved every second of it. But you never, like, you don't teach because you want to make money, because you don't make money teaching group fitness. You basically, I would, most of the time I would make enough to cover my cost, and that's about it.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
I got certified myself and I did teach for a short time period at a facility with
Mhm.
the thought, because I remembered when I would go to Ballet Total Fitness, which didn't exist anymore, and my friend Luis, who is fantastic, I took step, spin, and Pilates from him. And I loved, and I mean, he had groupies basically. So I figured I can get some groupies and then I can introduce them to the Shakeology, and they can also have an at-home workout. So I had a plan, but guess what? That plan crumbled.
Well, and I did too. And the interesting thing is the master trainers also would give you that like this is a great way, because most of the master trainers ran both as well. And this is was part of what ended up kind of killing me was the fact. So when I went through my training for those programs, I was told, now just remember that when you teach, that doesn't count as your workout. You have to do whatever program is out so that people can see that.
Are you kidding
And
me?
no, and be interested. And so the problem, I'm such a people pleaser. So if somebody needed a class filled or an instructor, I will do that. So I would end up working out 4 to 5 hours a day.
Holy
And
shit.
and I was dying. And now I did a pretty emotional YouTube video like think it was about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I have been told, like, I can't work out anymore. I cannot do anything with any impact because I need I need double knee replacements.
Oh my gosh.
And a lot of it was from that. And then the other problem that I had was because the coaches don't know anything as far as the nutrition really goes. You just have
All
this
right.
program. There's no way I was eating enough. And so I was working out 4 and 5 hours a day and I was gaining weight.
Wow.
And I was like, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand. But there's no way I was eating even half the calories that I should have been. Because they would tell you, like, well, then maybe you need to bump down a category. And I'm like, I can't eat less. Like, I'm dying. I'm dying. But we didn't know. We
Right.
we did not have any experience to teach that. And so I really struggled with finding someone who could help me. And then I would get so involved in the business side that I really wasn't taking care of my own journey. And like, so I think I hit 75-pound weight loss and I couldn't move anymore. Like I went up and down like this same 5 pounds and I couldn't break it. And it
Wow.
was like, who can help me? And so it was funny because I already said like I was a huge Shalene groupie. And I was listening to her podcast, and one of the top coaches was on her podcast talking about her own diet that she does. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. And it's called the MAID diet.
No, I don't know who you're talking about.
Okay, so let me explain the MAID diet to you and see if it rings a bell. Moderate amount of, let's see, what is it? Moderate amount of fat, adequate protein, decrease carbohydrates, eat in an 8-hour window. That's the MAID diet. Guess what that is? It's keto.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, huh. At this point, I'm willing to try anything. And then I think it's about the same time that Shalene was coming out with the 131 program.
Yeah.
And since I was in a line with a top 10 coach, there were a lot of really high ranking coaches. We all were in a group together. And since I was a diamond, I was invited to it. We all were eating keto. We all were following this program. And there was even the same coach had created a separate meal plan called Fixin' to be Made.
Oh, wow.
It was combining the Fix containers
Yeah.
into the made plan so that you could still use the containers and make it seem on social media that you were following it because they would see you still using the containers. And like pretty much the only carbs we would have in a day would be like Energize and Shakeology. And then
Holy
other than and so I was at that point, I wasn't really posting a ton. I'd kind of gotten a little bit quiet because I'm like, it's not working for me right now. I can't sell something that's not working for me.
yeah.
And Shakeology, they've reformulated it and it started to make me sick. Like my stomach hurt every time I drank it. But then I started watching some of these other coaches and it's like you see behind the curtain and you're like, you all are a bunch of liars. None of you are following this program, but you're out there saying that that's how you're getting your results. But I'm watching you put heavy cream in your shake and eat bacon and you're losing weight and you're saying it was this, but it's not. It's complete opposite. And so I kind of was getting disillusioned with it a bit. And it was when my great whatever grandma coach, she posted a before and after. And her before was actually her current, where she was right now. And her after was when she had trained for a bikini competition 2 years before that.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I'm out. I'm not doing this. Like,
How deceptive is that?
yeah. And I remember messaging like my upline and being like, what is this? And she said, I know, I can't believe she did that. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And keto is working for me. And so at that point is when I started looking into Prove It.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. Okay. So we know that you got to working out up to 5 times a
Mm-hmm.
day.
Mm-hmm.
But you also had to do other things because part of being a Beachbody coach is you got to do the vital behaviors. You got to do the inviting. You got to do the recognition. You drink
Mm-hmm.
your shake, and what's the other one that I'm losing out?
Um, product development.
Invite, recognize, product to product, personal development.
Oh yeah.
Do your personal, which just triggers me even saying the words personal development. So you
Yep.
have to do that as well. So how much time were you devoting to all of these other activities daily, weekly, monthly?
So I would wake up at about 4 o'clock, um, because I have 5 kids. And so I would have to do those things before, a lot of them before my kids got up. So before my kids had even gotten up, I probably had done at least 2, sometimes 2.5 hours worth of work. In that I would read my personal development, I would do my own workout, and then most of the time I would do a Zoom with my coach, and we would like knock out some goals for the day. Or, and actually I shouldn't have said my coach, she was my success partner.
Okay, yeah.
And we would figure all of that out. Then I would get kids up and get them ready, and then I would do my inviting. And so I would send those horrible copy paste messages. Hey hun, right? Oh god.
Oh, I know. I
I,
know.
right? And so
You're a
I would.
safe space.
Mm-hmm. and and I think that then the other thing that would end up happening, anytime my phone would ding, I had to look at it right then and there. So you don't feel like you're spending a ton of time. You're like, oh yeah, it probably takes me 3 hours a day. But you don't realize every time your phone dings, you're looking at it and you're responding. Because if you don't, they're going to go somewhere else. So you better respond right away. So I didn't think I was working that much, but I was working all the time, all the
Yeah.
time. And, and then I've been diagnosed more recently, but I have OCD and I didn't realize that. Um, the fixation with some of those things, I think Beachbody definitely like pushed my OCD really high.
Yeah.
Because it's encouraged the obsessive behaviors.
Oh, yeah. Everything.
Well, and that's the other thing. That was the other thing that kind of pushed me out. It was when 80-day obsession was coming out. And I was like, I can't. I already know that I have disordered eating. Now you want me to set timers all day about eating? Like I can't. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I just didn't even like because I was out by that time, but I didn't like just the title of it, just what it was called. It's like, should we really be obsessed with this? Or I think maybe not,
Well, and then control freak was the next one.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah,
are you
yeah.
kidding me right now? Oh, seriously.
Yeah, I think for me, what really started pissing me off is that, it started out that you would, when especially, I was there when Beachbody On Demand came on the scene. And so you'd
Mm-hmm.
get, the whole library of everything. It's like, great, you have all these workouts, and they're going to be creating other ones, and you'll get access to those too. Then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, now there's special equipment, and you need to buy the special equipment. And then in addition to that, oh, there's the coach sneak peek, which you have to pay to be in the sneak peek. So it was just like they kept on inserting ways to extract money from you. And
Well,
that
or
was
they would have a
angry.
specialty flavor. Ooh,
Do what?
you'd get like a specialty flavor of Shakeology, and it's going to sell out. So you have to order that in addition to your auto shipment. And you watch it now, the amount of product that they come out with,
Is
um,
insane.
it is. And the company itself doesn't necessarily come out and say you have to purchase all of these things, but you have to. You
The
have
pressure is, if you want to be a product of the product, you
Yep.
need to get everything.
Yes. And bless my husband. He kept like he was trying so hard to get me to wake up. And he would try and show me, like, Amy, do you realize how much money we're spending a month? It's worth it. They kept this, it was like the carrot in front of you. You're so close, you're right there, and you're going to tip the scales. And you just have to keep going. And I was getting further and further because you're on this hamster wheel of, as soon as somebody drops off, you have to replace them right away to keep it going. And
You
I don't
can't.
know, you can't. And I don't know how some of these coaches do it that have like the Superstar 3. So they would have, at one point, they would have 45 diamonds.
I don't know how.
How? Like, unless they were seriously buying rank, I don't know how you could do it.
I do think that is probably much more prevalent than what we are aware of or anything, behind closed doors with those way up there. But I can't imagine the stress and the pressure. And it's like, is that okay? You talk about, well, you're really in the real pyramid, the job, just over broke, and you're working 40 years, 40 hours, well, all that bullshit.
Yep.
And it's like, but MLM, I have never worked my ass off so much and received so little. And that's the thing that really irritates me. And hearing your story, it makes me angry for you, because there you are busting your hump, and a mom of 5. You already have a full-time job being a damn mom with that many
Oh,
kids.
God.
Good Lord. And then working out an insane amount of time, and then trying to keep, everything balanced and a happy face, and still bring on more people. I mean, that just even saying that's just like a formula for, like, really to destroy your mental health,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm so anti MLM, especially with the health and wellness ones, because they destroy you in every way possible. Like your physical, your mental, emotional, like financial. It was all a
Everything.
problem. It was everything. And, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because my, in my before mom life, I did human resources for 15 years before I started staying home with my kids. So I did recruiting for a job.
Yeah.
And, and I get so frustrated when they're like, well, it's the same. No, it's not, because I can actually recruit someone to start at any area of the corporate structure.
Right.
I'm not telling everyone that they're going to start as a customer service rep and then eventually you're going to get promoted to CEO. No, that's not how it works. Like, and as you watch these leaders, like, the only reason they are a leader is that they were able to con enough people to get them under them. They have no qualifications to be a leader.
Nothing. Nothing. They have a bunch of quotes from personal development books and stuff, and it's the same stuff that they mix up and mash up. And then to say, well, all I did was just do the 4 vital behaviors. If you just do the 4 vital behaviors, you will get there.
Well, and right, and any of the meetings you would go to, summit, it was all just rah, we're going to make you feel really good, but we're not going to give you any actionable steps.
There was none. None. And for me, what's so crazy is I did all this training, and being someone who is a professional at designing and developing training, it's like all my common sense went out the window of what I know is good, solid training, because everything that I was taking, it's like, but it really didn't help at all. It didn't give me anything that I could do. Nothing was measurable. Nothing was concrete. It was all mindset, getting in alignment, and just believing. And that's it.
Well, and I think that's why a lot of people don't speak up about it, because you feel so stupid. It's like, I was in the professional world for 15 years doing recruiting, doing organizational development, conducting trainings, and I did this. Like, the shame level of, like, how did I get to that point? But it's amazing the amount of mind control and the emotional manipulation it's a real thing. And the deceit is a big thing for me, because you'll have these coaches who, well, I got here, by doing those vital behaviors. No, you really didn't. You purchased, I know there was actually someone that they bought in to the business. They bought a leg.
Wow.
And it's like, no, don't tell me that you did this by your vital behaviors. Did you do those things? Yeah, you probably did. But you're not giving the whole story is never shared. Ever.
Well, I mean, when you come in, you don't really know where you are in the structure,
Mm-hmm.
And like you already brought out that you were on a weak leg, and I figured out that I was on a weak leg because I never got anybody underneath me for volume or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that can make a difference. So you don't know where people are being placed. You don't know if somebody's going like, oh, well, if you sign up, I'll give you, and I'm just making up a number here, I'll put 12 people underneath. You don't know if that is happening or not, because there are backroom deals that go on.
And the normal person doesn't know that even is a thing. I
Exactly.
didn't, I didn't even know to ask about an income disclosure statement.
Why
Like, I
would
didn't know that was a thing.
I had no idea either, and that certainly wasn't offered up for me
Oh
to
no.
see it. And now that I
Well,
look at them, it's like, well, these income disclosure statements are leaving out a lot of information anyway.
oh my gosh, the Beachbody one has me so mad because it is one of the most misleading documents. What they did is how they have combined. They have, like normal coaches and emerald coaches and diamond coaches. Then they have just the next is just star diamond rank.
Uh-huh.
That includes everyone from a 1 star to a 45 star.
Right.
They're
Right.
all in there. And I'm like, you jerks, you are doing that so that people don't really see. A lot of people can make it to 1 star. Like that is a hard rank, but you're putting that in the same as like a 45 star. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it just and it's funny because I had started to get a little bit disenchanted with MLM when I went to prove it. And I actually made quite a bit of money in prove it quickly because everybody followed me. Um, and it was fascinating to watch. And people followed me not because I tried to take them. My upline bullied me on Facebook, and my whole group left.
Wow.
Yeah, when I quit, so I had resigned, and she went like 6 months previous and found a transformation post that I had done
Uh-huh.
and commented on it and said, oh, so you're saying this didn't work for you? I'm calling you out, and posted it on my Facebook. And I went back and forth with her for a minute because I was like, I never said it didn't work. I said it stopped working. Like, I've been at a plateau for a year, and
Yeah.
anyone could see that. And I was like, I can't, for my own mental health, I just turned my phone off and went to bed. And the next morning I got up, and the amount of messages, the amount of comments, like, she got slammed on Facebook. Because my whole team was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, I can't believe you would do this to her. And complete strangers found it somehow, and they were all commenting on it. And people were like, you obviously have no integrity. I'm going to go wherever she's going. So she lost my whole downline, and I was her only income producer.
Wow.
It was awful. But I think you can see the difference though. And that's where, I mean, I did a lot of things that I'm not proud of, but right. But I obviously did some things right, because when push came to shove, everybody stood up for me.
Yeah.
And truly loved and respected me.
Right.
And that was a wake-up call for me, I think.
So what kind of emotions did you go through when you severed your relationship with Beachbody? And did you tell your coach beforehand, or did you just, contact corporate and be like, yo, I'm done?
I did tell my coach. Actually, I don't know if I did tell my direct coach, but I told the second up because she and I were really, really close. So I told her because I knew it was going to kill her business. And I was most concerned about her, not my upline coach. I didn't care about her at that point. But I knew my upline was going to get really hurt. And so I did talk to her about it quite a bit. Um, and then some of my people knew, but not a ton. And I had to be really careful because that top 10 coach, we had lost a ton of people on our team that all went to Prove It. So it was a pretty hot topic. And so I was pretty gun shy over how I did it, because we had lost a ton of people and some heavy hitters. We had an 8-star diamond that jumped.
Oh, wow.
So we had, and so I was scared, and I purposely chose, when I went to Prove It, I didn't pick anybody that had been on my team, because I was like, I don't want anything to do with the way that you guys are doing this business, because they all did it totally unethically. Like, they raped and pillaged. They took as many people as they could. The contacts, it was nuts. And so I didn't go with any of them.
Good gravy. So,
Then
go on.
I was just going to say, the amount of drama, and this is something I tell my kids all the time. I'm like, you think that you're going to leave drama after high school? Oh, it
No.
gets worse.
Yeah.
It's so much worse. The mean girl it's alive and well in multi-level marketing.
Oh, absolutely. Completely. It's, well, I mean, well, we see it all the time where, people are doing videos about Huns and stuff. It is, I would even go so far and say is that it's like it's built into the system of multi-level marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really goes back to that whole thing about you have to have the right vision. You have to know your why, all the personal development stuff. So let me ask you this about personal development, because
Mm-hmm.
obviously you did it when you were in Beachbody. Was that a big thing with Improve It as well?
Yes and no. Prove It is such an interesting. It's just, to me, it was just all about money, because we weren't doing meal plans. We weren't doing any of that. It was just like, drink this magical unicorn juice and you're going to feel amazing. And I did feel amazing when I would drink their ketones, the old ketones. They've changed formula. Again, it was the same thing with Shakeology, right? Like, Prove It got sued because of the formula that they were using, and they had to change. And the new formula just it's not as effective. It's not as good. And so it seemed as if Improve It, it wasn't nearly the same level of personal development, of like taking care of yourself. It was like, no, just let people see you shaking up your ketones, and that's what you do.
So what was the other than like what you just said, what other differences did you notice between Prove It and Beachbody? Obviously there were the workouts and it wasn't as personal development wasn't shoved on you as much. So how were they also different?
Okay, so a couple things. One, I would say a huge difference, the amount of love bombing at Prove It is crazy. I would get personal notes from the CEO all the time. I would get gifts. I would get shout outs. I would be on calls with the CEO. And in Beachbody, like, they were like the untouchables. You never saw them or heard from them. You had to earn it to talk to someone up high. And the amount of love bombing and Prove It was so vastly different. And it was very intoxicating.
I bet. So what kind of rank did you get to improve it? And I don't know how the Prove It ranking system works. I think I did a video on it a long, long time ago. I don't remember.
So honestly, I don't even remember. I know I hit all of the like fast start bonuses and I was making money right and left. But then again, you kind of run your warm market out and then how am I going to continue this? And by that point I was a little bit more jaded, and I was seeing like, why are they releasing all of these new products? And we're the ones who have to buy the flavors.
Yeah.
Whenever a new flavor came up, you better buy it because it's a limited edition and people are going to want to try it. And so I was getting ketones every day. And the boxes, I think they were around $100 with our discount, $100 for 20.
Oh my.
And you were encouraged to drink at least 2 a day.
Oh my.
And so I was like, okay, how much money are we spending? It was something too. My husband enjoyed them. So my husband would drink those with me. He would not drink Shakeology that often, but he loved the ketones. So we were going through them like crazy as well. And
You are a good customer for yourself.
oh my gosh. Well, and of course you order it through your husband's account because then you get the volume.
Right. Absolutely.
Your husband's your customer. And so you order everything through these ghost accounts so that you still get your double dipping basically.
Yeah.
And my like what the hell moment with Prove It, they released it's called Keto Up, and it's like their soda. It's a keto soda. And it was $130. Well, actually, by the time you got our discount, I think it was $96 was what I figured it out for 12 cans.
For 12 cans.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
And everyone was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. You have to get it. No. Like, I'm a family of 7. I am not spending $100 for a 12 pack of soda.
Right? Oh my gosh.
And that's when it became apparent that it was just money. It was all about money. And having the coaches or reps, whatever you want to call them, you were the customer by far.
So was that your final straw to say, like, to hell with multi-level marketing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even then, though, I think because I was so hurt from all of it, the shunning is hard. And I definitely experienced that with Beachbody. The amount of people who just block you that you were best friends with yesterday, and now that you're blocked. And that did a pretty big toll on me. So I didn't even find out like the anti-MLM. I've only gotten into it recently because it took me so long to be like, okay, I'm okay with this, because there's still a part of me that doesn't want to hurt my friends that are still in it.
Uh-huh. So what year did you finally escape multi-level marketing?
I think it was 2019 by the time I left Prove It. And I kind of, Beachbody, I kind of went out with a bang, right? With this crazy Facebook stuff that happened. Prove It, I just kind of died down slowly. I just let it kind of drift away so that it wasn't a huge thing when I quit.
Are you still friends with people in multi-level marketing?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Because especially now that I'm speaking out about it more. But I mean, I was thinking about it, and I have friends that are in Mary Kay, Saint, Melaleuca, doTERRA, Young Living, Melaleuca. I don't know if I already said them. Amway, like you name it, I know somebody that is in it.
Yeah, I know
It's interesting.
too. So how did you find, the anti-MLM movement? What was that process?
I think like a lot of people, Lula Rich. So finding that documentary on on Amazon, and it was like, it wasn't just Beachbody that was ridiculous. It wasn't
Uh-huh.
just like it's all of them.
Uh-huh.
That kind of started me down the rabbit hole. And then you start seeing things, and it was incredibly validating because I think even up until that point, I kept thinking it was just me.
Right. Right.
And it was like it was because they kind of drill that into your head that if you don't make it, it's on you. It's your
Right.
fault. And I started to realize like, wait, no, this is actually I did what they wanted me to do. And it was designed for me to do this and to fail. And that was really liberating. And it was like, oh, I'm definitely going to talk about this now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard to come to terms with the fact that it's designed so that you don't succeed. And they're telling you that it's designed for you to succeed, but you just can't. You can't fight your way up that structure. Um, which I mean, I'm going to bring this up again, this picture. Hang on just a second. Where the heck is it? Oh, goodness. It's from New Skin, and it's like
Mm.
the gigantic pyramid. And
Well,
this exists in every single one of these companies. And
well,
if
and
you
especially you
we
go into an established one, that pyramid is firmly entrenched. It's not moving. Oh
so
my
there it
God.
is. So these people would be way down here at the bottom. How in the hell are you going to be able to get up to the very top rank?
And they never show that to you. Like
Of course not.
you
They
don't see
wouldn't
that. And
do that.
it's like just get two people at a time. It's super easy. So easy. Two at a time. You got this.
And by saying that, I think it really minimalizes everything. It's like, yeah, you just,
Hmm.
with body, just help, what was it, 3 people a month? And it's like, it didn't matter what I did, how many backflips I did, how many times I, did a hula hoop. It didn't matter what I did.
Well,
No,
and then you look at it and you're like, wait, but you also convinced me to get several other accounts. So I actually have to help at least 9 people to cover my subscriptions.
and yeah, see, I don't think I did things. I wasn't buying stuff, oops, through my husband like that because I
Yeah.
didn't have him paying the back office fee or whatever. I did something where he was just kind of like there, but I was trying to get other people involved in it, and nobody wanted it. And a few people did, get stuff from me. But I can remember people asking me, "Isn't it the pyramid scheme?" And of course, I had the canned answer, "Oh, those are illegal. We have products, so it's not a pyramid scheme."
Yep.
Oh, good gravy. And I mean, and I bought that hook, line, and sinker, and people right now, they're buying that same exact thing too.
Yeah. Well, and it's fascinating too once you get in. And again, I mean, I go back to that whole like Emperor's New Clothes or Wizard
Yeah.
of Oz, and you pull the curtain and it's like, oh wait, everyone at the top, they were friends with Shalene or Tony
Uh-huh.
Horton or Sean T. They all got in right at the beginning and they're staying firmly entrenched up there. Most, like quite a few of them, don't even work the business. They just sit back and are earning an insane amount of money, and you're never going to get there.
No, you're not. So
No.
let me ask you this as we're coming up on an hour and I want to be respectful of your time and everything. Um, if you could get into a magic time machine and tell your younger self something so that you didn't join a multi-level marketing company, what would that be?
Use your brain and your analytical side and question everything. Because I didn't question it because it was a friend from high
Right.
school. And so I didn't look into anything. I didn't do the research. Um, and I allowed my desire to help myself, my family, and to help other people. I love helping other people blind me to the information that was there.
Yeah. I think you said something really important, and that is question, because in multi-level marketing, you're pretty hushed up. You learn very quickly not to question anything, just to accept what's being told to you.
Mm-hmm.
Just sit back and take it.
Yeah. And why would we? I mean, it's just, you should just trust me because I'm your upline.
Yeah,
I don't actually know you. So I don't have to trust you. And me asking you a question isn't me being negative. It's
right.
just trying to get information.
And heaven forbid if you get real information, because the thing is, though, I think a lot of them, because someone like your upline, she wasn't way up there, is a victim to the entire scheme anyway. And they don't know the truth of stuff. And it's like the people who do know the truth, you can't get to, and they
No.
wouldn't tell the truth anyway, because it benefits them for you not to know the truth, for you to be deceived. That's what helps them stay where they are.
And it's heartbreaking. I mean, I watch the girl that I was super good friends with every January. It's like, okay, this is going to be my year. This is going to be my year. I'm like, sweetie, it hasn't been your year for 6 years. Like,
Yeah.
are you going to figure this out? And the amount of toxic positivity, because you know what's going on with them personally.
Yeah.
And then you see what they present on social media, and it's like, none of that is true. Like, you are crying your eyes out and you're scared to death about money and you're doing all these things. But over here, you're talking about how great this business has been for you because that's the only way you're going to get people. And you're caught in this weird in between.
Yeah.
And the whole like fake it till you make it. No, no, you
No,
shouldn't be doing that.
what's funny in my job as an instructional designer, it's like I don't have to fake it until I make it. It's just like people know that I know what I'm talking about just by talking to me. And there's no faking it. I'm not faking like I know how to design training. I actually do it.
Yeah, there
It's
was,
a weird thing.
um, I'm trying to find it. One of the Beachbody coaches posted something, and I was like, okay, wait, that is the worst thing I have ever seen. And it was a quote that she was using, something about ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice. And I was
Ignorance.
like, and it was like, just get out there and be excited and present the opportunity. You don't need to know everything. You just need to go out and do it. Because if you have knowledge, but you're just sitting on it, that's not benefiting everybody. So you don't need to do everything. Just go out and share your excitement. And I was like, okay, the ignorance on fire is what gets people in trouble because you're telling people things that aren't true and
Yeah.
you're influencing their health and wellness and you don't know what you're doing. And so, like, to say that ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice, like, I can see kind of what she means. My husband and I were talking about it, and he's like, well, yeah, you should be excited, but reasonably with what you know, because otherwise it can be dangerous. And I think that's where a lot of these coaches are right now,
Right.
especially with this new gut health protocol. None of them should be touching gut health. They just shouldn't.
Yeah, I haven't been following what's most recent in Beachbody, and I think a lot of it for me is that it's just too triggering and toxic. I do sometimes, and I've made videos about things coming out, but it starts making you know I just get too much anxiety from it. So I'm like, you know what? I can talk about other ones.
Yeah, and for me, like, I have so much anger, I think, towards Beachbody and the influence that had on me, and then the lasting physical impact that I'm now facing. That I'm like, people need to know. They need to know what's going on. Um, and so I've been hitting Beachbody pretty hard the last little while because they're so ridiculous and they are so irresponsible with the products and the programs that they're coming out with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, yeah, I have probably well over 50 videos about Beachbody, because I did like all kinds of different angles on things. And I think after doing all of that, I'm like, okay, I'm good for a while. But one of the things that I've enjoyed doing is kind of exposing those top coaches and looking about like what is their past? What did they come from? why are they doing, quote, well? And I found like a lot of them have a background in marketing. And I'm like, huh, wouldn't that kind of help you,
Yeah.
versus other people? It's like, isn't that interesting? Or like the one I was under, had been a lingerie model and a bartender. And it's like, oh, those probably went hand in hand. Oh, and you did some modeling. You can't tell me that was not helpful and benefited you. Or being married to a professional baseball player. No, that couldn't possibly benefit you whatsoever. So,
Right. I'm actually doing a project because I was like, I'm just curious of like everyone who has been a top 10 coach. One, what is their side hustle? Because they all have them. They
uh-huh.
all have. What is their side hustle and what is their standing now? Because a lot of those top 10 coaches from years past didn't even make elite or premier.
I've
So
noticed that sometimes that doesn't happen. Yeah.
yeah, and so I got the elite and premier list from this last year, and I was looking, and I'm like, you coaches that are saying you're super successful still, you're lying because
Yeah.
you're not on elite or premier.
But you
Yeah,
still will see some of the same names that keep bubbling up and like, being under the top income earner. It's like, yeah, she didn't really need to do a whole lot of anything because it's everybody else is going to be doing it, you
hmm
know. But she certainly can present it as if, oh, I'm doing all the things. Girl, no, you're not.
no, you're not. Well, and it's funny. I was watching a live from someone who was a top coach for several years in a row. So you'll know who I'm talking about. Um, and she was talking about all the ways that you could work with her in the new year. And it was all about her new business, her new marketing company, her new this and this and this. And then at the end, it was like, oh yeah, and I do also still do Beachbody. So if you're interested in that, I can help you. It was like an afterthought.
Wow.
It was so interesting.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay. And this might be kind of a hard one because it's hard for me to think of this, but I think it's important for us to at least try. What is one thing that was positive that came out of you joining multi-level marketing?
I think there are actually a lot of positives. I did grow in my own confidence level. And I think a lot of that was the push to teach group fitness. I truly found things that I loved and that I never had the courage to do. I somehow found the courage to do it, um, and to continue that. And you know what? I did meet some great people that I'm still friends with. Um, it kind of brought me back to myself to some extent because when I started staying home, so I became a stay at home mom after my fourth baby. Um, I lost myself. I used to win awards and I was running a call center and I was doing all of these things. And now I'm a mom. Nobody tells me I'm doing a good job at the end of the day. They probably tell me I'm the worst and they don't want to eat whatever I made. Or it was finding that I can have an identity outside of just being a mom.
Yeah,
I could have things for me, and it kind of it reinforced that, but that I can now find out on my own terms, not through an MLM.
that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
and I think too, and you're probably in the same boat. Is it's like, okay, I have a pretty good skill set behind me with human resource background. How can I
Absolutely.
help people? So, one of the videos that I'm going to create is how do you explain this on a resume? What can you put? Because you put a lot of your life into it and you did learn a lot of valuable lessons and you did learn a lot of valuable skills. How can you translate that into a resume? Because that's important. It's really hard to find something afterwards.
Yeah, I don't put down anything about having been a Beachbody coach. It's like I just kind of ignore that on my resume. I'm like, nope, not mentioning that.
Yeah, and where you've had this other career, that's awesome, right? Like you can ignore it, but you still have that continuity. For someone who's like, wait, how do I explain this 5 year
Gap.
gap?
Yeah.
And then to say, like, no, like you did learn things, you learned a lot of things. So, how can we?
How can we
portray that
frame
on
it?
a, yeah, how can we show that on a resume without saying like I was a Hunbot for Beachbody?
Right, right. Yeah.
And so, I've been working with a lot of my friends who are in recruiting, saying, like, okay, let's get some ideas together to help people, because especially the people who really have to have an income, how do you do that in, in a job versus MLM? Yeah.
I have my final question for you is this. If someone who you love came to you now with a new opportunity, what would you do? What would you say?
What I would say was, let's sit down and look at it. And I would ask them the hard questions to get them to realize what they're doing as well. Because, like you said, most of them don't know. But if I can ask them some questions to get them thinking, maybe I could help them too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
Because,
good.
right? Because, like, they don't know. Like, just like I didn't realize what I was doing, they're pawns and they're getting taken advantage of. And to be able to ask someone questions to get them to see that, I think would be really important to do.
I think that's just absolutely beautiful. And I think that's really a good piece of advice for anyone that's out there in the anti-MLM, movement. And they're thinking, well, what do I do? I think that's really good advice. Well, Amy, I want to thank you so very much for your time. It's always, I guess, I don't know if I would say exhilarating or refreshing or exactly what word I would use, but to know that I am not alone with my Beachbody experience, that I get to, share that with someone like you. So I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, I will be back tomorrow with, yes, I'll be talking about, say it with me, on passive. And I have some things picked out. What am I doing tomorrow? And I'll tell you real quick for the next couple of shows that I'm going to be doing. Which one is this? Okay. We're going to be looking at an older video of Ash Mafara when he introduced Catmo to the founders. And then the following day, I thought it'd be fun to look at Ash Max. Before on Passive, there was Ash Max. And what is that? Because I think it's important to look at to see what he had created then and how much it is like on Passive, of how he's using old things and just kind of repackaging, even though he has never launched anything with on Passive. And we're still waiting for it to launch and not expecting anything. Anyway, have a wonderful rest of your day. Amy, stick around and I will, we'll wrap things up. And don't forget, you are beautiful and I love you. Until tomorrow, have a great day. Goodbye, everyone.